Hello, welcome back to the channel, and today we'll continue with the top 10 corners in college football. Thank you for all the support recently on the channel. Absolutely loving it, man, and we're getting close. I think we're like, what, under 20 days? So up first, we have number 10, Jason Marshall Jr. Now, he is the returning corner from the Florida Gators. He had a pretty good sophomore season. He had a pretty low pass rating against him. He's a really good press man corner. Gets up in your face, does his thing. Really good stuff. And it's always good to see a guy like him. I love this press covers. Got a bunch of swag for him. He was what? I think they said he was 8th among Power 5 corners when targeted in press coverage. So very good stuff there. And we'll see if he can build off of that going forward. Up next, we've got Cormani McClain, the first freshman, I think, on this list here. The guy going to Colorado, he was the top corner in the class, was initially going to go to Miami and then flipped to Colorado to go hang out with DeJean. Listen, if DeJean's coaching you, the greatest corner of all time, you know, it's going to be a good thing going. We saw what happened with Travis Hunter in the first season, and I think Cormani is going to succeed even better. I think he's the highest rated corner in the history. I think he's second highest, in the history of 24/7. So he's got all the skills, all the intangibles. He's going to go out to Colorado. It might look messy at first, right? But it's tough for a corner because the only highlights you usually get are pick sixes, or you're going to get him getting torched, right? And with the receivers he's going to be playing against, I think it's going to be a little bit of the latter, unfortunately for him at first. But again, just because he's getting torched and lit up doesn't mean he's a bad corner at first, because he's going to be a freshman playing against some of the best receivers in the country with some of the best quarterbacks for sure in the country. So Cormani McClain comes in at number 9, and I'm very excited to see how he pairs with Travis Hunter. Number 8, we've got Kamari Letitia. I think it is Lassiter, Letitia, one of the two. And he's a very good corner. He had 190 snaps in single coverage, which was 6th amongst Power 5 corners last season. He's a sophomore. 34 targets came in single coverage, where he allowed only 13 catches. And he'll be the outside corner this year with Kelee Ringo gone. So he's going to step into Kelee Ringo's role. We saw what Kelee was able to do against Marvin Harrison. I know Marvin Harrison still went crazy, but he still had a pretty good season overall. And again, with that Georgia front, it's going to make him look really good. I'm super excited again to see what Georgia does this year. I mean, every year they just kind of spawn these guys out of nowhere. But Kamari looks like the next guy to take that next step. And super excited to see what he does this year. Number 7, we go over to Tallahassee, where we have Fentrell Cypress II. Now he's transferring from the to the Florida State Seminoles from the Virginia Cavaliers. He is going to be I think he's a senior, right? Yeah, 4 years there. He was 5th among Power 5 corners in yards allowed per coverage on snap. He was the 4th ranked in the Power 5 in single coverage with only a 4.5% open target rate, which is crazy. So Florida State, really good talent when it comes to the secondary position. Obviously, Jalen Ramsey, Derwin James, etc., right? They've been called DBU in the past. Obviously that was a long time ago, but there's been a lot of guys as well in the league right now that are making a lot of money at those primary defensive back positions. And Fentrell looks to be the next guy coming out of a rather terrible and tragic situation over in Virginia with what's happened to their program. Now he's over in Florida State, and he's probably going to be one of their linchpins on defense. Him and Jared Verse are really going to dominate that defense, and it's going to be very cool to see how he plays against Malik Neighbors in Week 1. So that'll be a big thing for me to look at going forward. Number 6, we have Cooper DeJean. I think is how you're going to pronounce that one. He is a sophomore corner, so he's going to be a junior. He was one of the best corners in the country for the Iowa Hawkeyes last season. He had 5 interceptions, which is 4th for the Power 5 corners. He had 15 run defense stops, which is just, classic corner behavior for Iowa, that they're diving in on run blocks and run stops. And really good run defender, which is, again, it's going to be one of those things where when he goes pro, they're going to really want him in certain systems. I don't act like I know what these systems are, but certain systems, I'm sure, be like, hey, look, we have our corners more kind of crash on runs, blah, 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 blah. We want him in there, blah, blah, blah. So I think he's going to do a lot of good stuff out there in Iowa. Obviously, their defense is unbelievable. Pass defense has been pretty good the past few seasons, and they just got a white corner drafted, Riley Moss. I think he's going to be another guy that gets drafted pretty high, and I'm very excited to see what he does this season for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Number 5, we've got Mike Sainristil coming back for the Michigan Wolverines. The former wide receiver, also known as Frozone, is now the slot corner, nickel corner for Michigan. He's a specialist. He's going to be super fast and running all over the field. He's going to be one of those guys that needs to test well at the combine. But if we saw anything from the Cade Stover highlight, which I hopefully remember to put in here, he was able to pop the ball out of the hands of a very elite tight end to help seal the victory for Michigan last season. And he was all over the field. He was a two-way player. Not two-way player, but two-way his career in college. He was a receiver at first, and obviously now he's a corner. So he's got a lot of athleticism and speed there. Good hands, obviously. So he was a relatively, not poor, but like he was a wide receiver 3 at best for Michigan, and now he's the best corner in the nickel corner in the country, which is crazy. So I'm super excited to see what he does in the pro level, and I think he's going to be the next line of a long line of defensive backs and safeties going into the league for Michigan Wolverines. Number 4, we have Travis Hunter. Now, this guy, all world, right? Whether it's Twitch streaming, he's successful at. Now he's over in Colorado, coming from Jackson State with DeJean. He plays both ways. I really am fascinated to see if he's going to end up playing both ways over at Colorado. I think he might. But similar to what I was saying to Cormani, the rest of their defense is pretty tough, so they're going to have to rely a lot on their corners, and that's when you get kind of torched a lot. He'll probably be a one-on-one ISO corner the entire time, but if anyone can do it and turn it in swaggy, I think he can. I mean, he always talks about Heisman season loading, so I think he'll probably play on both sides of the ball. But again, I know I'm beating a dead horse by saying I'm excited for everyone to play, but he truly is going to be awesome because he's doing what he did at Jackson State, where he's a receiver as well. That's going to make him even more fun to watch. But on the defensive end, I think he's the highest rated defensive back they've ever had on the list there. So he's got a lot to live up to. He did a lot last year at Jackson State against the obviously lower competition, and now he's going to be going against guys like Rome Odunze, Jalen McClellan, Dorian Singer, all in conference. So watch out, and I am very excited to see how it turns out. Number 3, really tight top 3. 2 Michigan men up here, one from Michigan, one plays for Michigan. Number 3 is the man that is from Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, Kalen King from the Penn State Nittany Lions. Again, when you think of Penn State, you think of Joey Porter Jr. last year, but Kalen King, I believe, was actually better. He's probably going to be a top 15, top 20 pick. He was a stud last year. Single coverage, he led all corners in the country with a 93.3 grade according to PFF, which I'm getting almost all of this information from. 18.3 pass rating allowed, and he had 15 forced incompletions in single coverage, which is 3rd in all FBS corners. He locked people up. He locked them down left and right. You couldn't get the ball past him. He was unbelievable. And I'll tell you the coolest thing about him is not only is he be awesome this year, locking down people. Watching him against Marvin Harrison is going to be so sweet, but the draft is in Detroit, his hometown. He went to, downtown Detroit, and it's going to be great that I'll hopefully be there, hopefully towards the front if I get there early enough and watch a Detroit kid go get drafted high in the first round. It's going to be awesome. Hopefully it's to my Lions because, man, I'd love a corner like him on my team. So, but yeah, maybe take it easy on my Wolverines when you play them again this year. So, speaking of the Wolverines, we have the man himself, Will Johnson, Grosse Pointe legend, stand-up Grosse Pointe people. That's all my guys back home. 5-star recruit, walked on campus. Everyone was like, whoa, this guy's here. He's him. He didn't play much early. He got torched against Hawaii in one of the plays where I was going fanboying full on, just straight up. I was like, look at a guy from high school. He's doing his thing. He got torched. I was like, oh, shit. We got to figure this one out. But yeah. 6'2", a big dog. He locks him down, physical if needed, silent, doesn't talk much, but when he does, he's running his mouth if needed. Relatively emotionless guy. Reminds me of Kevin Durant. He's out there, just be silent. He'll kill you. He'll be fun off the field, fun in the interviews, but on the field, he's a silent killer. Strictly business. He was the best freshman on defense last year. Him and Harold Perkins tied for that. He was 91.1 in man coverage, which led all corners in the Power 5 as a freshman, which is crazy. He only had 2 interceptions, both against Purdue, but they were on Charlie Jones, who was a very good receiver, and they were spraying the ball over around at Purdue, and he was locking them up. So I'm so excited to see how it happens next year, and my goodness, is it going to be fun to watch him. Number 1, not only is he an all-name team in the Key and Peele Bowl, East-West Bowl, we got Kool-Aid McKinstery from the Alabama Crimson Tide. Awesome guy. He's a best player coming back on defense, probably in the country, close to it. I know Dallas Turner and Jared Verse like a word about that, but first team All-American for, I believe, everything. And he's very good. 11 pass breakups last year, end up being 18, which is crazy. I always say this, I know I talked about it in the Alabama video, if you wear the back thing that he wears, like I don't know what it is, what you call it, but the shoulder pads pop out the back, the little thing by like above your hip. It's unbelievable. Those guys are always good with the script A on it, and he has it. He's very good. He's going to be locking everyone down. He returns a little bit of punts as well, so he'll be a junior, a young guy. He's going to go probably the first corner in the draft, if not Kalen King. Those two will be fighting for that since Will's unable to be drafted. Same with Travis Hunter. So Kool-Aid's going to be doing his thing this year for sure. I want to see how he locks down some of these really good receivers, like watching him play against these good Tennessee receivers, against Xavier Worthy. That's going to be unbelievable in Bryant Denny. So super excited to see that. I know I said excited 100 times in this video. I'm sorry, but there's not much to go off for these corners, right? And so you kind of got to add some filler when you can. So let me know down below if you agree with this list. If there's anybody I missed. I know a few guys on the list that I always talk about was Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame. I didn't have him on there. Josh Newton, TCU. Javon Bullard's on this list, but he's a safety, as you guys already saw in that video. But yeah, that's pretty much everyone I've got on this list that I don't have. Colorado's got 2 guys on this list, and so does Michigan. So those are your best defenses, right? We'll see. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.